the things that I've seen the benefits of using the economy for growing the business rather than going to a scarcity mode. So I think that's one of the things that I'm good at. I can see the opportunities and I can see what other people cannot see for whatever reason. And that helped me to become from, being just coming from a poor background to actually run a few businesses on my own, try to share the experience I had. And also I joined, during the same time, I joined Grant Cardone and the 10X movement. And that helped me a lot because Grant I've seen myself in Grant so much, the way I was thinking and the way I was like, look, no negativity. There is not such a thing like a bad economy or, all these things that people put in their head. I was like, oh, I love this.
Degrees with the Lavahot Podcast and host Joseph Connell Jr. You'll hear from ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things, from tech startup CEOs and marketing professionals to authors, investors, and sales trainers. This show will be packed with information to help you level up in life or business, taking you from on fire up to lava hot. Get ready to burn this mother down.
Hello and welcome to the Lavahot Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Connell. Today I have a gentleman, Cristian Voina, here to talk a variety of different topics, specifically for local to mid-sized companies or businesses in whole, things from time management to sales to scaling, things that I'm personally very passionate about, working with local to mid-sized companies. That tends to be the things that are very hard for them to try to balance that work life, the business, all those aspects. So just real quick, let me give you a little background about Cristian. Within his 20s, he was able to create a business with his friends. In less than 2 years, he grew that business so much he was able to sell it for a six-figure payout, if you will. And he was able to take that capital, reinvest it into his next idea. Cristian has also consulted with some of the top franchises in Europe and is currently one of the licensees for Grant Cardone, someone that is a personal mentor of mine. I can see the 10X hat, so I know he's definitely within that 10X community. And Cristian, I just want to say I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and to talk how to scale a business, how to make it part of your everyday, if you will.
Awesome. Look, thank you very much for having me in your show in the first place, and thank you for this really kind of intro. It's a pleasure and to be here, and also honor because people don't appreciate when they are asked to speak, and you have no idea how many people are getting actually touched and influenced in a positive way by the things that we share. So I'm happy to be able to share my journey.
Awesome. Absolutely. So I want to dive into that. So I always like to start with the background just to get a feel for where everything started, where it began. And then I like to scale it up from there to where you are now, which is, this advisory role, if you will, for businesses, helping them scale, helping them grow. But if you can, just dive into the background, that business that you started in your early 20s, and then how you were able to get to a point where you're able to sell it. And then we can go from there.
For sure, yeah. So I'm originally from Romania. This is where actually happened when we started. And it's a funny story because the whole journey started when we were actually in the hospital. And me and my friend, we actually met in the hospital when we were actually walking on the hallway. And I said, what are you doing here? So we had different reasons for being in the hospital at that time. But when you're in the hospital, you don't have too many things to do. So we start playing backgammon, and from one to another, we start talking business and say, look, let's do this business. So the whole business at that time was about becoming one of the key providers of internet and IT support for my hometown in Brașov, in Romania. And I think we started, we had our mobiles, at that time, and I think probably about 100 euros in our pocket. And we had this vision. We seen that it was a scope for going into people's homes and install their internet and provide them that extra support that they needed afterwards. And we did it, and we went so crazy, and at some point we had to get people to work with us and for us, and the business was scaled. And we had one of the clients, one of our main clients, they were so impressed with how we work, and I'm going like very fast from here to there. Within 18 months they they made me a really good offer. Which I accepted. And the thing is that it's not just the fact that we created that business and scale it to massive scale. It's just the fact that after we sold the business to one of our clients, they want us to carry on working with them in the same. So we took over. I took over the whole IT department, and all about providing internet access in the whole, not just a company. We're part of a consort of companies which are dealing with transport and all that. So for them, all the connections and the internet access and all that, the security behind it was like very crucial for their business. So the fact that they knew who they were speaking to, it was a bonus. So I took that role for 6 months, but until when you started being an entrepreneur and you have your own business, you can't really go back. So we shake hands after 6 months, and I say, look, I have to do my own thing, because this is what I'm good at. And they were like, put it this way, really good employers, and it was fun, but you still have those limitations. You can't take decisions and so on. And I decided just to start the new one. So moving fast forward to where I am, I moved to UK about 15 years ago. Again, just meeting a few people in Cyprus, and they asked me just to join them, and I say yes. And that changed my whole life, because again, I think it's me and 100 euros in my pocket. It works. So I just flew to UK, and then the rest is history. I was 20 years in hospitality work. I think at some point I had like 3 jobs when I moved to UK, and wow. You have to. And I was studying in the same time, which is, people say like, how can you do this? I was like, well, I know how to maximize my time. So I was very specific in which parts and what am I doing, and I didn't waste any second. I was very pragmatic about the things that I do and how I do it, how organized I am, and that allowed me to do that. And then I shifted from hospitality, running and scaling hotels and restaurants, to go, become their best. And I moved into real estate. I started from scratch with and you probably know. I'll mention a few names in the industry. Remax is quite one of the top in, it was anyway, for a while in the world. And I took the role of just being like a normal agent in Remax, and within 2 years I started running the whole office. I put it back on number 1 in the area. We won a few awards on sales, and the scaling and percentages of the conversion on how many properties we sold and how fast we grew. And then 6.5 years ago, it was a company who was just starting off, called Purple Bricks. They tried to break into US market, but unfortunately didn't go as planned.
Right.
But we launched in that, and within 3-4 years we became the strongest. And it's a very strong market where I am. I mean, we have about 15-16 really strong competitors, including Remax, and they were not very happy for me to do that. But I took it as I was one of the business partners in a way, and within 5 years I was just top. in most of the like sales. And
Wow.
one of the great things was, sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, you're good.
It's just because so many things are coming ahead. I'm trying to just stay as focused as possible for yourself and for the audience. But as I was saying, one of the great things I've done when everybody was kind of moving into that scarcity mode during the pandemic, I took the different approach. So during the pandemic, just to give you like a few stats, because people like to know exactly rather than just waffle. From within, I would say, less than 12 months, I scaled the team from 10 to 25, and the revenue from 235,000 more or less to 438,000, and that's within 8 to 12 months. And that's during the pandemic, when most of the things were shut, and everything was into a kind of box. But the things that I've seen, the benefits of using the economy for growing the business rather than going to a scarcity mode. So I think that's one of the things that I'm good at. I can see the opportunities, and I can see what other people cannot see for whatever reason. And that helped me to become from, being just coming from a poor background to actually run a few businesses on my own, try to share the experience I had. And also I joined during the same time I joined Grant Cardone and the 10X movement, and that helped me a lot because Grant I've seen myself in Grant so much, the way I was thinking and the way I was like, look, no negativity, there is not such a thing like a bad economy or all these things that people put in their head. I was like, oh, I love this. So within, I don't know, I joined one of his webinars, and within a couple of hours I signed up. I say I want in, and then the rest is history. So there we go.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing for me. When I found him, a lot of his content was around sales. This was back in like 2015. And I was just locked in. I mean, because this was a guy that actually made, somehow him and his team made cold calling sexy. Like something that like you wanted to do it, and it was, and that's how I found him. I searched how to cold call, and then I saw one video, and I think it was him and Jared when they were in a little office in California. And I was like, wow, okay. So like you can get like into the right, you can get like that right swagger when you're about to make a cold call. And then you start learning, through their programs, through Cardone you start looking at how they're doing their cold calls, or some of the calls with like Todd Strauss in the mentor calls. You get to absorb like how thick their skin is when it comes to objections, how they're just ready for them. And I loved every bit of it. I just ate it up, ended up buying Cardone you.
There you go.
A lifetime access, and I went to the first Growth Con. I got to do a one-on-one with Grant the next day, which was really cool.
Nice.
I tell you, I was not ready for that one-on-one. I wish I would have had some better questions lined up for him, but I definitely got some value out of what he delivered that day. But so I want to go back to it. So I always like to start with the background, because then it gives the audience some sort of reference of, okay, this is some of the stuff that this gentleman has done. And then, you've taken that experience, continued to sharpen the axe. That's why I always look at things like signing up for Cardone U as it's continued education, if you will, on perfecting sales or marketing and so on and so forth. So you've taken your pre-existing skills, you continue to expand on it, and now you've taken that skill set to work with other businesses to scale and help in different areas. I want to try to unravel from you, what are some of the most important things that most businesses might overlook? And then what are some things that they should really implement into their business? What type of systems they should put in place, whether it's for their own personal work-life balance, or just to maybe expand and scale and get to a point where they could sell. So I let you kick off from there.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is that most of the people, when they go into businesses, they go with the experience they had previously in a different role, and they expect because they have that expertise. Let's say somebody who's been a manager or a director for a long time, and they run the business, or they kind of run a business in a way. They go with that the same mentality that, oh, I can open my own business and I can do it because I've done it for so many years, I have the experience and so on. But when you go actually on your own, it's not the same. You see all the things in the background which you haven't really seen. Even if you're like a really high level on that business or organization, you're not the decision maker. You're not the one who's coming with idea. You're not the one who's driving things forward. You're just part of an organization. So the minute things are changing that way, most of the people, they don't take that into consideration, and they don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
Makes sense? Until they get to the level when they say, oh, what am I supposed to do now? And that when it comes into this scarcity mode, when they feel like, oh, what have I done? What if I'm not doing right? What am I doing now to do it better? And one of the things that what people they should do is, and I'm talking people because it's not just businesses. Businesses, it's a bunch of people together, but it all starts with the person who runs, the head of the business. It's people think that they invested enough in the past and they stop investing in themselves. I mean, I had people telling me when I was starting, the first investment I made in myself was about 5,000. And I had lots of people telling me that, are you crazy? Why are you spending 5,000 on a course? And this was with actually Bob Proctor. I used to call him my friend Bob because I was listening to his lessons every morning, every day. Every day was like on a automated thing. But that was one of the starting point when I understood that the more I invest in myself and in the things that and follow the people they know, and they prove to themselves and to the world that they are doing the right thing, the more I can add and fortify my skills. And that allowed me to go into get more and stronger based on those information. And I end up from spending 5,000 a year on me to actually spending like 60,000-70,000 a year on me and other things that I knew that I need in order to get there. So to go back to your question is that the processes that you need, they are specifically to the things that you do and what business needs, because everybody's are on the different levels. If you ask me if I wouldn't be a guest on a podcast, for instance, today, if you asked me that like a couple of years ago, I would have told you're crazy. And then if you ask me that I'm going to have my own podcast to speak about the things that I've learned and, to share my knowledge, I would have told you that you're even crazier than that. I was like, wait.
I believe me when I say the same thing. the idea that I would be on a video podcast would have been absolutely nuts because, it's not for the faint of heart. I think most people, I think I deal with the same thing everybody else does. Nobody likes to see themselves on camera. Nobody likes to hear their own voice. So, that's why I committed to so many episodes. Just, just got to do it now at this point.
Yeah. And you see, this is actually a good thing, what you said, because the minute you say committed, that's exactly one of the things people don't understand when they go into business. If it's a business in your life or in a business with other people, you have to say committed regardless what comes next, because you're never going to be prepared enough, and you're never going to be, you're not going to know what's going to happen around the corner. But what you can do is actually predict and get prepared that way. So you have that prediction, and you see the way I work, I always have more than one scenario in my head. If this goes like this, great. If it doesn't, I can shift there. And if it doesn't, I can do this. And if I don't do it right, then I learn from it and move forward. And I had lots of people tell me because I consider myself a very positive person. And I had somebody from my team, which was quite funny. She said, this cannot be done. Your positivity is sickening. And I was like, I love it. Say that again.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just say what you just said. I'm like, but you're too positive. It's like you don't see anything negative. It's like everything is in a pink colors. And I was like, but it is. What's the problem? Well, I have this crazy customer, and I was like, tell me more. I'm excited to learn. Just tell me more, because the more you know, and this is actually really connected with the business, because lots of the business owners, they're too scared to ask for feedback, because they know in the back of their mind something's not right, and they're afraid to actually hear it out from somebody. But what we done, and especially with Purple Bricks, because they were really good on that, and I that's why I love to be. It was all about honesty and transparency, which are my core values. It was, we need to know from everybody, despite how bad that feedback is. I want to know, because the more I know, the more I can actually work on it and make it better. Because if, with all the reviews and all the people they are putting on the website, you can see if it's somebody with a scarcity or a small mindset as a owner or as a manager. You can see they go and they try to defend the company instead of trying to find out what was the problem, fix it, get it better, so the customer can change that feedback and say, look, I know it was excuse my French, a shitty experience at the beginning, but I have this great person, Cristian, coming in, and he changed everything, and I love it, and I will go back and I will actually just do it, because at the end of the day, the whole experience, and I just feel so great right now that I will actually do it again, despite what happened in the past. And I was like, I love it. For me, we were like 5-star reviews, and I was like 5-star reviews. I was like, I don't care. If I see a 4-star reviews, I was going crazy. Like, why did we get only 4-star? We need to know what happened with that star. We need to get it back.
Right. You gotta go out there and recapture it. Yeah.
For sure.
So some of the notes that I put down just in preparation for the show was one on time management and time optimization. I was hoping you could speak to that a little bit, because I think that that's not just on a business level. I think in a professional level, I think that that's something that, would be valuable for really anybody. But I'd love for you to speak on that side of it. What is this concept of time optimization?
Yeah, you see, the thing is that with time, lots of people, and I heard so many times, and I even hear it now, I don't have enough time. I was like, what do you mean you don't have enough time? We all have the same, like 365 days a year, 60 seconds, you name it. We all have the same thing. It's not like we have less, or you have more and I have less, and vice versa. But the thing is, and I mentioned earlier, it's all about how you maximize that time that you have, because people are thinking, oh, I have plenty of time, I can do it later, but then you die or whatever happens. I know I sound drastic, but you have no idea when your end comes in. I mean, we can just drop dead right now.
Sure.
Or what I matter. But the thing is that, to go back to a serious part rather than going to the negative, is the key to this is to control how you spend your time, because the more accurate you are and you understand exactly where your time goes, the easiest for you to get more to optimize that time. Because let me ask you a question: how many times do you actually know what you're doing tomorrow and the next day?
Yeah, so I typically have a pretty tight schedule of things that I'm going to have going on.
Do you write them down?
So I catalog them in my calendar digitally, but I don't write them down. Although I have the 10X planner, I really should be utilizing that bad boy.
But put it this way, you see, the way I do it, and the way I've done it, which allowed me to do so many things in the same time, and you still have. I'm a father like yourself, and you know how demanding it is to have kids, and it's a great thing to have kids, but at the same time, you need to know how to adjust and pivot when things happen, and try to adapt as soon as possible, because kids they don't have that, oh, I need to wait because daddy's or mommy's doing something. Kids, they just go in and do it, and you need to just say, okay, do I actually go with the flow or stop and do whatever?
Right. So like when your daughter leaves the babysitter and comes over to let you know about it in the middle of a podcast episode.
That's ideal. You see, you should have left that all because it's awesome. I love it. You see, it's all natural. Yeah. But the thing is that that time, what I learned, and I learned it from experience, is I schedule my time in 15-minute slots.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how many things I can do in 15 minutes, and then if the next day I need to do the same thing and I've done it in 20 minutes, I will see how I can do it in 10. And I will see, I know from, let's say, 5 o'clock in the morning when I usually wake up, and I go until the time I go back to sleep. So I know every step of the way. You see, that's when you mentioned that planner. I created my own planner based on other plans like Grant Cardone and other guys. They're having like Jim Quick and all these great guys, which I follow and I look up to them because they've done such a great things. But this is how you create your time. Your time is about people are looking to control time, but actually you control yourself. So the minute you control how much time you spend on the things that they are not efficient for you. Lots of people are looking to be efficient. I mean, you're looking to finish everything that you put on that list. But the key thing is actually it's how effective you are. What's the effectiveness of all the things that you do? Because if you're looking to try to, let's say you're looking to get an exam and you're looking to pass it, is it better to just pass it, or are you looking to actually pass it and excel at it to be like A+? That's the difference. Because if you're looking for your business to be just another business in the in the world, there's going to be just another business. But if you want to be, this is me, and I want to be, the man who's doing this, and everybody knows about me, then you need to maximize every second. It's not even every 15 minutes. You maximize that second. Okay. Yeah.
So it's taking account of every 15-minute time slot that you have, and then making sure that you're maximizing your efforts within that 15-minute time slot. So I do like that. So I, typically whenever I do my calendar, I try to look a month ahead initially and try to put the big rocks in place. Like I know I've got, podcast episodes scheduled for these dates. I have certain meetings that I need to be on for these dates. So I put the big rocks in, and then I also try to fill in some of the littler slots, but I've not ever broken it down to almost like that macro level where it's like, okay, what can I get done within these 15-minute slots? I could see how that would definitely maximize and optimize my time, but it would also, I'm willing to bet when you're that intentional within those time slots, you get more done inside of a 15-minute time slot than if you would have allowed it to be a 30-minute time slot, just because you're focused on, okay, let's just get that thing nailed down and get it knocked out and off the list in this 15 minutes. Is that about the case?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you see, the first time when I started doing it, because I was like, I'm extremely busy. I have my diary is full. And then I start writing things down to see exactly what I need to do or what I want to do for the next day. And I end up at 2:00 in the afternoon. I didn't know what to write anymore, because I planned everything so well that I had the rest of the day just free. And this is when it's great that you mentioned earlier about that, work-life balance. I believe that the work-life balance is not about 50-50. I believe, and this is worked for me very well, is that you have to be 100% committed to everything. So when you have your business time, you're 100% in a business time. When you're in a family, you're 100% in the family. That's work-life balance. You being present 100%. The minute you're trying to multitask, or you want to be, I'm with my daughter, but I'm watching my phone doing a business, or I'm actually doing my business and trying to keep an eye on my daughter at the same time, or anything. I'm just playing with daughters because we both have daughters. So taking that into consideration. But the minute you are focused and present, and you're 100% committed to every task and everything that you do in your life, you're going to be super successful, not successful, because you're there. And I'm not being insensitive when I'm saying that you are, I'm looking at the family as a task. I see it as a task because the more efficient and effective I'm on that task, the better my time is going to be maximized with my family because I'm all in.
Yeah. So it's not just about making it quality work time. It's also about making it quality family time and being maybe as efficient, but maximizing the efforts in both, which means maximizing that quality time that you get spent with the family as much as you maximize getting tasks done within a 15-minute time slot, if you will, for the business and the operation as well. So I can definitely respect that outlook on it. I do want to talk sales. Being a licensee of Cardone, I feel like it would be shame on me if I didn't ask about the sales aspect of things, just because I personally, for me, I've worked with over 500 companies, local to mid-sized companies in a broad spectrum, and you'd be surprised how many of them overlook this idea of sales. How many, almost feel like it's a cuss word in their business, or, they'll have service technicians that will have this mindset of, oh, I don't like to be a salesman. For some reason, most people just have this thing where they think salespeople, it's an icky word. And I don't really get it, but it is at the core of it. It's the lifeblood of what keeps the business going. You have to have sales, you have to have revenue in order to have a business, but many overlook how to have this structured sales system. So I would imagine, being a licensee, you've probably seen that a lot, where you'll come into an organization, you'll help them develop that sales structure. I was hoping you could talk on that a little bit, on, what you typically see when you first start working with a company, and then how you get them to start to structure and prioritize sales as a center of their business, not just a piece of the business.
No, that's actually a really, really good question, and it's great that you brought it up, because you see, one of the things that I've seen, and I've seen in every organization, and even I've done it at some point, was that we are looking to say that we are not salespeople, but right. At the same time, that's what we do. I mean, the fact that you asked me to come on your podcast, that was a sales process. You asked me for something, and I agreed. So it was an exchange of information or knowledge or an agreement, and that's a sale. Most of the people, and especially on the business side, they think that we have a sales department, we have an accounting department, we have a marketing department, and the marketing department is doing marketing, the accounting is doing accounting, and only the sales department is doing sales. When in fact, actually, is the organization is doing sales. Everybody should know how to do sales. It's not about just one person. We have the sales team. Nobody else is doing nothing. Well, if I go to the person who's doing the cleaning in that organization, and they don't know anything about the organization, then that person should not be there, because every person that belongs into an organization, they should have at least the basic information, and they should know what's the mission and the vision of that company. Because if those people are, committed, and they are actually loyal, and they love what they are, they're going to speak about the company everywhere. So one of the things that I do when I go into an organization, I just go and see what's the process, what are they doing for that. So just to focus on the sales department, because lots of the businesses, they have that just sales department. Most of the time, it's people are afraid to ask the hard questions when they're on the call, when they're looking to do a sale, because they are afraid of rejection. So when somebody says no, because they're looking to create more and more and more on the volume, they don't follow up. Oh no, okay, bye. Let's go for the next one. Instead of saying, okay, why not? And when the person say why not, okay, they're gonna give you why. And the thing is with every organization and every salesperson, when you ask for somebody, or somebody comes to you to buy something, it's always another reason why they haven't agreed yet, or why they are still thinking about it, or why they said no to it. And most of the salespeople, And this in the businesses are failing because they are not asking the right questions, or they're not going into more details, and they're looking to sell. I mean, if you look in cold calling and hard sales, right? They don't. Most of they are going and let's say they get the sales, but then the sales are falling through during the process because one reason, they don't know why that person agreed to buy, or they were not even ready to buy, because they haven't had asked the question which are connected with what's the background? Why are you looking to buy a house tomorrow? Why are you looking to buy let's say this microphone?
Yeah.
So there are so many things that people, they need to understand in that process. It's about understanding the customer's needs, and what they need and what they want. They're two different things. So the more you understand, and the more the people that they have in that organization understand the simple process of knowing what your customer wants, the easier it's going to be for you to not just get that customer happy with their choice, but they're going to go more and tell everybody. And it's a fact that, there are people, and it's true, when somebody's happy with the service, they're going to tell, let's say, one person. When somebody's not happy with your service, they're going to tell 10 people, 100 people, just because they're going to shout to say, look, this company or this guy, is not who you think it is, or he's not providing what he's going to provide it. So you do want to go which route you want to go. It's one of those.
Yep. Yeah. So, an interesting part, and to piggyback on what you're saying, where the entire organization needs to be responsible for sales, is at the core of what you're saying is, if you have just one dedicated sales department, but then you have other people inside the business that have a touch point with the customer, if they don't know how to sell or know any part of the sales process, you're missing opportunities for sure. If I turn on a marketing system that brings in leads to an organization, and the sales department is over here, but you have a person that answers the phone who doesn't know anything on how to get that customer to actually book the appointment, you're turning opportunities. Basically, then it's just, that was money that was spent on a lead. Exactly. And it didn't actually cultivate into an opportunity, because this person didn't understand how to answer the phone properly, how to answer the questions or ask the right questions in order to get the person calling the information that they were looking for, to connect them with the sales professional. Or in many cases, there's opportunities for that person answering the phone to make the sale right then and there.
Yes. And
because that person was already ready to buy, we slowed down the sales process by making it so that somebody had to come out and do, X, Y, and Z to actually close the deal. So, there was one close, one question that I learned at the 10X boot camp that I loved. And it was, how did they say it? Have you heard enough to make a decision?
Yes.
And you should ask that early. You should ask it often, because oftentimes you're the person that's slowing down the sales process. In fact, sometimes too much information can halt a deal, can slow things down, or get somebody to look a different direction. Yeah. But I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, sorry to jump on because I just picked up something on what you said. One of the things with this question is about the people don't ask open questions. That's so they close the conversation and the relationship when they say, "Are you ready to buy?" And if the person said no, that's it, you've done it. But if you ask in a way where it says, based on what I said, how likely are you to buy this product? That allows you to go into it, and they're going to tell you, well, 50%. Okay, so tell me more. Why only 50%? What's holding you back? And from there, you go into, okay, so if that holds you back, if we take this away, what else will hold you back from signing right now? And they say, okay, well, I don't know. I need to speak with my wife, and I need to speak with my partner, or whatever, or your husband. And they say, okay, so where are they? We can give them a call now and see what they think.
My favorite question in that area is, what do you think they're going to say? What do you think their issues might be? Because then that's when they're going to tell you exactly what they're currently thinking. well, they might say the price is too high, or, it's not the right fit, or whatever it is. Normally it's the price game, they might think the price is too high.
Yeah. It's always about asking that question. What do you think?
Yeah.
If you ask, what do you think, the person is going to, you see, this is where lots of people are getting wrong in their organization, and the sales people, especially. They don't ask, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
They don't allow the customer to say it. What do you think? What's your opinion? They just say, I want to sell. Oh, buy this. This is great. This is great. Buy. And then the customer buys it, but is not happy with your choice.
Yeah. So let me ask this: if somebody's listening to this podcast and they're thinking, you know what, I want to work with this guy. I need help in my organization. I want to try to implement some sort of sales structure. I'm interested in Cardone University for my organization. Any of that aspect. How would they go about getting connected with you? And I know you're not here in the US, but do you work with companies all across the?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I'm in US very often.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you travel often, so you can work with really anybody anywhere. I'm talking to you right now. So what's stopping you from working with somebody across the pond? Exactly. So that was my question: is do you work with individuals, all throughout the world?
Yes.
Most people I have on my show, that is typically the case.
Yes.
But so anybody who may be listening, they're curious about, utilizing your skill set and bringing you into the organization to try to put in some of these systems. How would they go about getting in contact with you and, trying to book some sort of
Sure.
consultation?
Yeah, well, the best way will be just to go through my website, because you have the discovery call there, which is my website is www.cristianvoina.com, and I'm also on Instagram, and my tag is Cristian M. Voina. But you can just look for my name on social media, because I'm everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So Cristian Voina with the C, no H, and I'm always there. And even today, I actually connected with quite a few people on LinkedIn, and I have 2 people coming on based on the discussion we have, and with the things that I provide, just because they reached out and they've seen my videos or they see my posts, and I say, look, we want to work together, because I think it's valuable, and I love to share my knowledge and my experience, because I think the experience and the things that you've been through, people see that more valuable than what you actually say.
I definitely agree. Well, Cristian, I do want to thank you for taking time to come on to the show. I definitely think you dropped some knowledge on us in a couple of different departments: the time management, the sales aspect of it. For those that are listening, definitely go check them out. I recommend, if you're an organization, you're looking at maybe adding in some structure, especially on the sales side, go hit his website, fill out, and get set up for the discovery call. But Cristian, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, and hopefully we can have you back in the future.
Look, I really appreciate you, Joe, for actually inviting me on your show. It's been great. And look, the invitation goes back to you now. Happy to have you on my show and to see what gets you fired up, and see how we can, take the lead and make the leap, the way I like to call it.
Absolutely. I would absolutely love to come on the show. But yeah, so we'll close it out from there. And again, Cristian, I appreciate you taking the time. This show has been the most interesting for me, just because the new studio space, it's been a little bit nuts, but awesome. It was fun that we were able to get this all done. I just want to speak to Cristian's composure, because it's been flawless this whole time.
That's it. No, it's been great. So thank you again for your time.
You've been listening to the Lavahot Podcast with Joseph Connell Jr. Do you want to level up your business in 2022? Then visit us at golavahot.com for a free marketing analysis.
You already know. Let's go.